So we have had announcements of new TVs from Sony, Samsung and LG. And this year we'll be seeing loads of technology jumps, things like QD OLED and OLED EX. So we're going to break down exactly what's coming, specifically OLEDs, and go over which of these TVs will be right for you. But a little disclaimer, I will be looking at the big three, that is LG, Sony and Samsung. Let's go! So unfortunately, Samsung haven't announced their OLED lineup at CES.
Just do it!
So other than rumours of QD OLED displays and regular conventional OLEDs, all of their focus has been on their normal LCD displays. However, we have seen Samsung's first QD panels, one of which being in Sony's A95K. So we will need to wait a little bit longer to see what Samsung are planning on doing with their lineup. But for now, we're going to have to move them to one side. So that leaves us with the OLED market leaders LG and the professional masters Sony, and we've had news from both of them. So let's start with LG. We will be getting a similar lineup to last year with a whole array of different OLED options. We will have the entry level OLED, the A2, the beefier brother, the B2, that will bring support for things like 120Hz. What will undoubtedly be LG's most popular OLED, the C2, now with an Evo panel, making worries about brightness less justified. And then the G2, which is the gallery mounted OLED, which will be brighter again, and it will offer LG's largest consumer OLED screen, a massive 97-inch panel. And then finally there is the Z2, LG's 8K OLED. So LG definitely gives us the biggest array of options and also the most in terms of size, having an OLED as small as 42-inch and as big as 97 inches. Sony have kept it all a bit simpler with their offerings, only giving us 3 OLED models and 5 different sizes. Sony have their entry-level OLED in line with LG's C1, that is the A80K, and that is still using the conventional OLED panels like what LG are offering. Next up is the A90K, a TV that's been marketed as a Master Series TV, however is actually very similar to the A80K. The main difference is that the A90K is actually only available in 2 smaller sizes, 42 inches and 48 inches. The A80K is only available in the 3 sizes above that, the 55, the 65 and the 77. The other only obvious difference we can get at this stage between the two is the more premium remote. It's going to be very interesting to see how these two different displays are priced. And finally we have the A95K, Sony's first QD OLED TV using the technology from Samsung, and that one is still only available in the most popular 55-inch and 65-inch TV sizes. If you're wanting something bigger than that, well then that could be an issue for you. So which TV is going to be right for you? Well, we're going to have to take a look at some use cases. Firstly, price. As much as prices are yet to be announced, we can make some assumptions as to roughly what they're going to be. If you want a budget TV and you're wanting to get into OLED but at the best price possible, then LG is going to win this one. They tend to be the cheapest OLED panels anyway, as they can sort of undercut Sony, being that they make the panels themselves, whereas Sony are buying them from LG. Also, LG does have the widest range of options. Sony won't have anything to fight out with the A2 or the B2, with their entry level, the A80K, being a match for the C2. As the G2 is still going to be a OLED panel, I imagine that will probably be cheaper than Sony's A95K, as that has got the new QD OLED technology. And Sony's A90K being focused as a Master Series confuses me, because that's still probably going to be competing with LG's C2, just the smaller 42 and 48 inch versions. And I think LG will probably be cheaper here too, but we won't know until later. Next we have colour. Sony is well known for how good their colour accuracy is and how well it can perform at the extremes in brightness. I don't see this changing, and I imagine it's going to be the same this year, especially on the QD OLED, as that's using quantum dots to get more vivid colours instead of just an RGB filter. It's going to be brighter and much more colour accurate. So until we hear what Samsung are up to, this is going to be the best picture available. Are you after 8K? Well, if you want an 8K OLED, the only one on offer is the one from LG, the Z1. So Sony don't have an alternative for that. Other than that, all of them are 4K. So the two TVs do use the same panels, and because LG are now making C2 and Evo model as well, you're probably going to find that the brightness is going to be very similar. The OLEDs are going to be using the same technology, so I'd be surprised if one of them dramatically outshines the other in terms of brightness, except when we come down to the A95K. Because that's a QD OLED, that will be brighter. How much brighter? We don't know, but it will be interesting to keep an eye on. Now the LG G2 will be brighter than normal conventional OLEDs, as that's going to have a heatsink, and that heatsink will also help with things like image retention, so that is going to outperform the C2 and probably the A80K. But comparing that to the new QD OLED, we'll have to wait and see. Predictions are that the QD OLED is going to be much better, but the real test is when you can see them side by side. Now, as much as we all tend to ignore this next one, most of us are aware that size does matter. LG has to win this one. For each model that you can compare with Sony, LG just has more options. Sony has 5 possible options for size, whereas LG has 7, and those 5 on Sony aren't available on every model. The A80K has only a 55, 65 and 77. The A90K only has a 42 and a 48, and the A95K, being that new panel technology, only has the 2 options, a 55 inch and a 65 inch. Now to compare, the C2 offers all of those, but will also have an 83 inch, and the G2 will also give you up to a 97 inch display, which is crazy. That's literally bigger than a king size mattress. So where some of these Sony TVs might be missing out on sizes, LG will probably be picking up a bit of business there. And if you're after a huge TV, well, LG is going to be the way to go. LG's range does look like it's going to be the most versatile for gaming as well. However, Sony are going to be bringing VRR this year, which is really good to see. Now, the addition of those 42-inch displays is going to be great for people and personal gaming setups. If you're in a large room, 42 inches isn't probably going to cut it, but it is going to look amazing on a desk. So if that is what you're after, have a look later in this year when these TVs start landing, and look out for those head-to-heads between the A90K and the C2. That being said, if you're predominantly looking for a gaming display, and that is going to be the sole use of this thing, Dell have announced that they're going to be releasing an Alienware display that is QD OLED. That's a 34-inch QD OLED curved display that can get up to 175 Hz, which is way better than the 120 Hz TV. Again, we don't know what the price is going to be of that one, but it's going to be something worth looking at. So let me know in the comments, what TV would you be buying in 2022? And keep an eye out for my video for when Samsung finally announce what they're going to do. In the meantime, have a look at one of these videos and subscribe. Whoop!